Someone or something is always disciplining you. It may not have a paddle, it may not have a rudder or a steering wheel, but it's directing you. It's shaping you like clay, molding you, your thoughts, your habits, and your future. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." So the question is, who's discipling who? I'll never forget this time with my oldest son. He actually just turned 17. You blink and time goes by fast. So take every moment captive. Take every second that you have while your children are under your influence and use it wisely. But in this particular time, I was telling a story to some friends. You know, a story that was kind of like pumping up my own macho-ness, how cool I was. I was the baddest of the baddest. Just kind of being a braggart, really. You know how it is when you're sitting around with your friends, just kind of one-upping each other. And the story was mostly true, exaggerated a little bit for effect. Everyone laughed. It felt good to have the room. It felt good to be the envy of people based upon the words of the story that I was telling. But I remember from the corner of my eye, I saw my son, just a little guy at that time. Big blue eyes, awesome smile, complete adoration and respect in his eye towards me. And he broke in and said, "Dad, is that really what happened? I remember you told me and it happened like this." And he proceeded to tell actually the truth of the story in a less intense way, in a less way that made me feel less of the hero. He said, "Dad, didn't you always tell me to live by this motto? Always tell the truth and let the Lord love me." He wasn't trying to shame me. He was confused. I had taught him one way, but modeled another. And in that moment, I realized I was being watched. My son was looking up to me. He was noticing how I treated my wife. He was noticing how I interacted with my friends. He was noticing the things that I did, the things that I said, the things I didn't do. I wasn't just telling a story, I was discipling. Every moment, every word, every action, whether you know it or not, is shaping someone's view of the truth. Every time you have an opportunity to lead by example, to show people the more excellent way, please do that, because you're shaping someone's view. You're showing them something about you, something about your character. Let's talk about one of my ultimate favorites, Ray Lewis. Played on arguably one of the best defenses of all time. Because of him, in the early days of Madden, I would always pick the Baltimore Ravens, and my friends were like, "Why would you like him? Or why would you like the Ravens?" This is before Lamar Jackson, before they had explosive offense, before Derrick Henry. This is when they were built by defense. And you know what? This is a subject for a different lesson, but defense is a character revealer. Everybody wants to score. Everybody wants to get past the ball. Everyone wants to run. But it takes character to sell out your body, to make a tackle, to guard somebody day in and day out without even having the opportunity to possibly score a touchdown or get accolades. Ray Lewis, he was an NFL legend, known for his dominance on the field. But the real story, it's off the field. He grew up with a single mother who didn't play games. She was structure. She was standard. She was spiritual. She was discipling him from day one, showing him the path, laying out the golden brick road for him to follow. She formed Ray long before football ever did. But early in his career, he let his fame and his accolades get to his head. He got comfortable. He got distracted. Then came the night in 2000, the murder charges, the wrong place at the wrong time, the friends that he kept, the people that he was letting disciple him. He nearly lost everything. Later he said, I stopped letting my mother disciple me and let the world take over. It took a near catastrophic event to make him realign his life. He came back different, stronger, centered, focused, not just physically, spiritually. Mentally and spiritual battles are 90% of them. If the enemy can convince you of a lack of who you are, lack of identity, and lack of God's calling, he's already almost won. Because once the enemy's convinced your heart, your mind will follow soon. So what did he do? He started mentoring teammates, quoting scriptures, mimicking the life of Jesus, living on purpose. Because he realized if you don't choose your influences, they will choose you. If you don't control what comes in your mind, it'll control you. The simplest way to look at this is following the life of Jesus. Jesus didn't offer a 3-step plan. He said, follow me. He lived the model before he ever asked anyone to speak it. He prayed and brought his disciples with him and modeled the way to pray. Showed them the most perfect example of how to pray to the Father. He served. He invited them to imitate. He washed his disciples' feet. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords humbled himself, got on his knees, and washed the feet of his disciples. And I don't know if that's like a thing that you guys quite get, but we didn't have closed-toe shoes at that time. Those disciples' feet were probably pretty dirty, dungy. They could have stepped in things that were not very appealing, but he still did it. He forgave. And then he calls us to do the same. He is the ultimate example of discipling and discipleship. Every question you see Jesus ask in the Bible, he already knows the answer, and it's to draw out a well of depth into the listener's soul. Luke 6:40 says, everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. You become like the person or the system you walk with the most. If you're not walking with Christ, you're walking with the culture. And your culture doesn't train you for righteousness. It trains you for relevance, consumption, and compromise. One of my favorite things that I learned in this regard was from Todd White. Todd White says, when the world's under pressure, or when a Christian's under pressure, and you represent an apple, and you get squeezed, and lemon juice comes out, wouldn't that be shocking? What's the world to think? What are you to think about yourself when pressures come, and what comes out of us during that pressure isn't aligned to the Lord? One of the most powerful voices today in the space of spiritual formation and being an intentional father is Jon Tyson. His book, The Intentional Father, hits hard. He says, you can't outsource discipleship to the church because the world isn't outsourcing influence to the sidelines. The world is taking every crack that you leave open to infiltrate. And that's not to be ultra spiritual or not to make you scared or concerned, but as a man, as a leader of a household, as an influential person in young men's lives, Instagram's not waiting to ask permission to show all types of wild things. We need to go and take initiative to lead our young men correctly. Because the world is 24/7. TikTok, Instagram, Netflix, YouTube. It doesn't ask permission to disciple your children. It just does. Jon Tyson says intentional parenting means planning your child's moral formation like a project, designing rites of passages, because if you don't mark their growth, culture will. And I'm going to stop on this one for a quick second. One of the coolest things that you could do is, like, in every 6 year, have a special event for your children's birthday. When they turn 6, do something where you get them like a wooden toy knife, so you can teach them proper knife etiquette. They can feel manly because they're 6 years old and they have this wooden pocket knife, but yet they're learning safety. So when it's time to get their real pocket knife at 12, maybe take them camping. Take them camping in a place where you go fishing to eat your dinner, right? Go camping along a river. And then 18, do something cool like take them out to a baseball game or take them on a road trip or something like that. But just have these little markers that when they get to a certain age, you unlock extended bonus levels. You know what I'm saying? And then what's the other cool about that is your other children that see that, they'll begin to look forward to those markers. Next one is modeling emotional presence, not just physical provision. Finally, teaching them who they are and whose they are before the world tries to tell them all types of foul and false information. Fake news, you know what I mean? And here's the brutal truth. If I'm not actively discipling my son, TikTok will. If I'm not sitting down, opening the Bible, sharing hard truths, reels, memes, and trends will shape their identity faster than I can fix it. One simple way that I like to do this with my family is, depending on the season of life, it can change, but at least once a week, we do family prayer time with some scriptures, and then we follow it up with watching an episode of The Chosen. I'm a big fan of The Chosen. I'm a big fan of any of the Angel Vision things. I think they're amazing. Little side plug. If you haven't seen The House of David, it's really entertaining. It's wholesome. It's spiritual. It's powerful. And it puts any of the other worldly shows out to the pasture because it's so good. The real world has an agenda, and it's not natural. It wants your kid's heart. It wants his mind. It wants their identity, their value system, their future. And if we're asleep at the wheel, the world will take the wheel. Craig Groeschel says, your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. But who's feeding those thoughts? So remember that as you think about discipling other people. Where do your thoughts lie? What are you reading right now? What are you thinking about? And that's what's putting your compass in the direction that it's headed. James Clear in Atomic Habits says, every action is a vote for the person you wish to become. So every scroll, every comment, every like, every heart, every YouTube search, that's a vote for something. Look at your search history recently. What does it show? What does it say? No, No condemnation. Just look at it. Where do you want it to be? Even Jordan Peterson. So I'm not going to get into if I like everything he says or everything he stands for. He's not a pastor, but he has become a modern day mentor to millions of men. Why? Because he talks about responsibility, discipline, and purpose. Things that church should be championing, but too often we're silent. So, surgical steel. I'm trying to take that concept and put biblical truth behind it, because that's where real strength and power come from. All right, let's get honest. Ready? Who has a mentor? How many of you listening right now have a mentor or someone that you talk to weekly and challenges you? Who are you really being discipled by? If all else, be discipled by Jesus. And there's a great book called Discipled by Jesus by Hal Perkins. I recommend you read it. It's shaped my life. It's been amazing. Speaking of shaping, who's shaping your voice, your patience, your decisions? I know sometimes when I'm scrolling aimlessly on not TikTok, I don't have TikTok, but Instagram, the algorithm of the reels will sometimes take a turn. And next thing I know, I'm like, why is this showing up? And what's the agenda behind it? And that leads right into the next one. What are your kids learning by watching your example? Are they watching you just, instead of play basketball with them, watch reels about how you're going to train kids to play basketball? Or watching about reels about new movies instead of watching movies with them, or camping trips instead of going on camping trips with them? And more than that, are your kids being formed by YouTube more than your words? Do they know more TikTok influencers than they know Bible philosophers or disciples in the Bible, books in the Bible? Do they know more about TikTok reels than the gospel truth? Do they know that TikTok influencers and all that get paid for you to watch them do what you really want to be doing? So not only is it a waste of time if you spend too much on it, but people are getting paid for you to do that. Because if we don't intentionally form them, our children, the world will. And what's in it for you? All right? If you flip the script, if you dive into this and you say, hey, I'm going to take control of my family, my house, and discipling my sphere of influence, I guarantee you'll see more peace in your home, character in your kids, and legacy that lasts. You won't just be a dad who tells the truth. You'll be a man who lives it. And your kids will rise up one day and say, my father didn't just correct me. He walked with me. He trained me. He showed me the path. He led me to Christ by his example. So I'll leave you with this. You are being discipled. So are your kids. If it's not Christ, it's culture. If it's not intentional, it's accidental. There is no neutral. So, here's your challenge. This week, audit what's discipling you. Take notes. Turn down the noise. Remove the things that are not helpful but hindering you. Get your family back at the table. Have real conversations. It may be awkward at first, but keep going after it. Teach them. Model them for them. Train. Don't just let the world shape your family. Forge them with Christ, with purpose, with steel. Stay sharp, stay faithful, be still. And if you like this teaching, like, subscribe, share it with a friend. And if you are listening to this and want to know more about Jesus, put a comment in saying I'd be willing to learn more. And I'd love to walk with you through that. Amen. Amen. Let's go to work.